we can go a lot into self-efficacy. One of the ways that another big thing that creates self-confidence, self-trust, self-belief is seeing others' experiences. And so we want to tell a story about what this looks like, how it's going to work, somebody that's done it before. And this story is going to create a compelling picture, vision of the future that inspires, gets people excited, helps them associate with what we're doing so that they get excited about it. And they can make those associations in their mind as we tell that story.
I'm Joel Worthington, and welcome to my podcast, Tell Me More. As a leader of major organizations over the last 20 years, I've had to manage and oversee hundreds of employees of all types, personalities, and belief systems. The most important thing I've learned is that there is not a one-size-fits-all leadership style. You need to understand people, their motivations, their stories, and who they are in order to lead them in a way that works for both you and them. The best way to do that is show interest and ask them to tell me more. In the next stage of my career, I'm a world-class leading consultant on leadership and want to bring the tools, knowledge, and tips to help you as a manager, leader, or C-suite executive to best maneuver through your leadership challenges. Each week, I'll also bring on some extremely successful business owners, entrepreneurs, and leaders to understand their secrets to great leadership as well.
Hello, and thanks for joining me today for Tell Me More podcast, where we're exploring leadership to help you be a better leader and reach your goals, whether for your organizational or for your personal career. And so let's jump in today. Today, we're going to talk about one of my foundational principles, and that is belief is the basis for behavior. All right, that sounds simple. Let me explain. We do what we believe. We don't do what we don't believe. All right, so we're going to get into that and tell you why it's so important. All right, because as leaders, we're chasing our goals. We're trying to hit, achieve some type of mission. We're trying to take our organization somewhere that we're not. That is movement. Movement requires energy, and energy is our most valuable resource, and our energy comes from our people. Now, I'll talk a lot about engagement because it's bad. It has gotten a smidge better over the last year or two, all the way up to 33%, which means about 68% of U.S. employees are showing up for a paycheck. They don't have any energy. They're not giving it to you. They're not giving it to the U.S. organizations. And around the world, it's about half that, about 16%. So it's really bad outside of the U.S. So we got a problem. It's a leadership problem. Those stats come from the Gallup organization, and they say that engagement is over 70%, I think, of engagement is due directly to the direct supervisor. They call it the manager, and they're probably right. It is a manager, not a leader, and that's the problem. So we want to talk about leadership, and we want to talk about how to get the energy from our people. Now, when we say that action is generated by belief, activity is what we want. That's what we want the energy applied to. And that's why we need to make sure that we're helping people believe. One of your biggest jobs and roles as a leader is making believers out of your people. Because when we believe, that generates the impetus, it's the catalyst for us to act. Let's just get some real basic stuff here. You're at a party and there's a dance floor and a band or a DJ. The people who believe that they can dance well or believe that they don't really care what people think about them, they're out on the dance floor moving and grooving. The people who don't believe they can dance well and believe they're going to look goofy, they're standing and they will not get on the dance floor. And we could replicate this in so many ways. People that are scared to fly, take a train or a bus or a car. People that aren't afraid to fly, take action. They jump on the plane and go wherever they want. Okay, so we could keep on. We do what we believe in. So that requires energy. So we put our belief into that. That belief creates the energy that puts us into activity. Okay, the more we believe, the more energy release, the more action we get, and then the more better the results are because we're putting more action and energy into it. And that increases our belief, creates more energy, releases more energy into the activity, better results. And of course, that keeps going. So we're going to talk a little bit about how that works. All right, so when we talk about people, the energy is passion, and we know that when we believe something strongly, we're passionate about it. Quick example, when we're in love, when two people are in love. When I fell in love with who is now my wife of 36 years, by the way, when we fell in love, man, we were in college, so we would see each other during the day. We'd have dinner together. She would come over to my house. I lived a few blocks off campus. We would study for 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours. I was at a small Christian college. There were actually curfews, so we had to get her back to the dorm, 10 o'clock on weeknights, something like that. I don't remember. But it was 5 minutes before we'd go running down the street to get her back. I'd walk back home, and what would I do when I got home? Just go to bed, right? No, I would call her because I wanted to give more energy to her. It's a lot of passion, right? Passion is energy. That's what we need from our people. Let's start with several things that we want to talk about. Let's look at the 3 objects of our belief, okay, where we need people to believe. Number 1, we need them to believe in their selves. Okay, we need to have them believe in their self. Albert Bandura wrote a book back in 1976, I believe it was, somewhere around there, and he's about the theory of self-efficacy. There's about 50 years of research in this that basically says psychologically, neurologically, we act on our beliefs. Okay, and what he studied, self-efficacy, is my belief in my ability to achieve something, to do a particular thing. My belief in my ability to speak to you today, to get on a platform and speak, my belief drives that activity. Okay, so he proved this psychologically, neurologically, we could look at that's the way our brain is wired. When we believe, we exert more energy, we do more things. Okay, so there's several things that affects. One is the choice of our activities. We do things we feel confident in, and we don't do things we don't feel confident in. We give more effort, and we are persistent. We overcome obstacles when we believe that we can achieve something. Our thought patterns are affected. We have negative or positive thought patterns about different things based on our belief system. And that generates energy, right? Anabolic or catabolic. Anabolic energy is positive energy that helps us move forward. Catabolic energy is destructive, bad for our health, etc. And then that drives right into the next one, emotional well-being. When we have strong self-efficacy, we have stronger emotional life. We have better emotional well-being. For one, we can interpret things better. So a person with low self-efficacy might interpret their racing heartbeat and nervousness and go, oh my God, see, I'm going to fail. Where if we have high confidence, we can use that energy and man, I've got the energy. I'm excited. I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. So it's all a mindset. We always find what we're looking for. You know that if you're a negative person and believe everybody's out to get you, you generally probably have that become a self-fulfilling prophecy in your life. You know people like this. They actually live in a world where people are always out to get them. Why? Because they interpret the events around them based on their prior belief system. All right, this is really important. We need to help our people believe in themselves so that they can release that energy and be active in our organizations and do. Okay. So we need to encourage that, facilitate that belief, celebrate little wins, focus on behaviors instead of results, and celebrate behavioral wins. Most people can do. Right? Michael Jordan, athletes of any kind. We hear all the stories about getting up at 4 a.m. and going to the gym and practicing for 6 hours before the rest of the team even gets there, etc. Those are behaviors. I wouldn't say most people can do that. Anybody can do that. And so if we break down what behaviors create the right results, focus on that, we can help people get wins that boost their confidence, their belief in themselves. Therefore, they release more energy into more activity, better results, and it keeps feeding itself. Okay, so a lot of things we can do. So we want to be encouragers. We want to be able to feed people's belief and help them believe in what they're doing. Next, we need people to believe in us as the leader. You need your people to believe in you. They're not going to buy into mission, vision, processes, systems, new initiatives if they don't believe in you. For example, if I sat here and said, hey, I'm going to build a $50 billion company and I want you to invest $100,000 and I'm going to promise you a 5x return on that money. I could go into some plan and it may sound great, but your next question and your thought is, how many $50 billion businesses have you built? Have you run? What is the basis? So even again, if I had a solid plan, you're sitting there chuckling because you don't believe in me. You're not giving me your $100,000 to go build a $50 billion company just based off some good idea. Okay. So we believe in the leader first. What generates that belief? And let's just call it trust. We need high trust in our leaders. That's us. And what builds trust is character and competence. I trust you because you're trustworthy, and I trust you because you know what you're doing. I believe you're going to shoot straight with me. I believe character makes up a lot of things more than just integrity. Character makes up things like persistence, consistency, fairness, all of those things. When our people believe in us, believe that we're going to be honest, transparent, we're going to be consistent, we're going to treat them fairly, we're going to be persistent, we're going to stay the course, we're going to overcome. They believe in us and they want to be on our team. So we need to focus on our belief, what people believe in us. Okay. And then thirdly, the mission or the process. We need to help people believe in the mission or process. So that means we don't just announce. That means we're thinking more about, how do I get buy-in? How do I get belief? Okay. And the biggest part of that is bringing them in early on collaborating and be a part of the solution, being a part of the mission or the vision, being a part of the new initiatives. Now, can't bring everybody in. The bigger the project, the bigger the initiative, etc., the more people we bring in, the smaller, the less people we bring in. But we want to try to help people be a part. All of these things fit. The name of the podcast is Tell Me More. All of these things are about tell me more. Okay. We need to tell our people more about us so they can trust us. We need to tell them more about what's going on. We need to hear from them. We need to ask great questions and connect with them. That's how we're going to help them believe in themselves and us. Everything here fits with this one mindset, tell me more. I do want to spend the last little bit looking at how this happens in the mind and then showing you now how to pitch your initiatives, processes, systems, mission, vision, whatever it is you're doing. There are two phases that happen in the mind. All right. First is the area of emotion. We buy with emotion, justify with logic. We make emotional decisions that's based on survival instincts so that we make rapid decisions. And so we're taking our memory banks and our perceptions and beliefs about those memories, and we're matching what's happening today with what's happened in the past. Again, based on our beliefs, we're interpreting, and so we can make a quick decision. That's why the more you lead, the more seasoned you are. A lot of times you can make those gut decisions, subconscious. We're all doing that. But as you grow and learn and have more experience, you have a bigger database to apply to situations. So that's what happens first. So we're emotional people, and we're emotional decision makers. Everybody is. This is the way the mind works. I'm not going to get into all that today. Okay, so once it goes through that emotional system, then it goes into the rational, logical part, phase. By the time we start using our logic and rationale, then we've already made the decision. We're just justifying that decision and backing it up with logic and rationale. Okay. That's the way it works. We don't have time to get into all the details today. You can look it up. Okay. So let's talk about now. All right. We need to release our people's energy. We need them believing, because that's what's going to create action or activity. If we have a new process, a new system, or a new employee that we're training on our processes and systems, we've got a new strategic initiative for the following year, or we're going to create a new vertical in our organization. We're going to start selling a new product or service, or whatever it is that we're doing. We want to sell that to our people. We want them to believe in it. That way they're going to put all of their energy into it. So first we're going to start with why, and we're going to tell them, we're going to associate our mission, vision, something that we know people are already excited about, with what we're doing, why this is important, why we need to follow this path. So we're going to start with the why very simply. Then we're going to move to a compelling vision of the future. Tell a story. Okay. Now we can go a lot into self-efficacy. One of the ways that another big thing that creates self-confidence, self-trust, self-belief is seeing others' experiences. And so we want to tell a story about what this looks like, how it's going to work, somebody that's done it before. And this story is going to create a compelling picture, vision of the future that inspires, gets people excited, helps them associate with what we're doing so that they get excited about it. And they can make those associations in their mind as we tell that story. Stories are your most powerful influence agent. As a leader, you need to be a storyteller. It is the most powerful tool that you have in your toolkit. Be a great storyteller. So we're going to start with why we're doing this, what it looks like, who's done it before, an example, etc. Whatever that is, a story that gives word pictures. And now we're going to leverage loss aversion. Okay, what does that mean? That means that people will take on risk and move based off a fear of loss quicker than they will for a compelling vision of the future to gain something. Now, unless we do a great job with making the benefit, telling that story that gets people fired up. Okay. A lot of people are not that great at the telling stories, and it's just psychological fact that fear is a very strong motivator. So we want to talk about what does this look like if we don't follow this course? What are the implications of not doing this? So we remain low profits. If we're a nonprofit, we're not going to help the people that we're trying to help or do whatever it is that we're trying to do. Right. So we talk about the loss, and we've already set that picture of a great future. And now we're ready to really secure the buy-in that we've got to do this. We can't not move forward. Okay. And then we're going to focus on quick wins. Now, what does this mean to you? WIFM, what's in it for me is what's on everybody's mind. How is this going to make your life better? How is this going to make your department better? How is this going to make coming to work better? If people are really fired up about the mission and vision, how is it going to help make that better? Okay. So we're hitting all of this subconscious thing. We're getting people excited about the future. And then we're going to move to the place where my experience says most business people start, and that's with the spreadsheets and the data and the KPIs and all of that. We don't start there because we're emotional buyers, and belief is the basis for activity. We find what we're looking for. The way we just did it, we already have them excited about the future. We have them excited about the new initiative. We have them emotionally bought in. They've already made the decision that they want to go down this path with us and that this is the right move. Now we back it up with logic. If we start the other way, they're just going to argue with your data. If they hear what you want to do, especially if they weren't involved in making a decision and they're resistant, they're just going to interpret the data however they want to see it. That you've manipulated the data, especially if you don't have buy-in for yourself, they don't trust you, you're lying to them, you're spinning. This isn't real. This isn't going to work. This is going to make my life miserable. I don't want to be a part of this. That's all your data is going to do. So we cast the vision first, get them emotionally bought in, and then we give them the data to justify what we're doing. Okay, so it's got to be transparent data. We've got to be transparent. They've got to trust us. We set expectations when we're creating a new initiative or change of any kind. People are afraid. Look, let's be real with them. Hey, here's what it's going to take. Here's the expectations that we're going to have. It's going to be difficult for whatever time period before we get to this great thing. That way people can, again, continue to believe in you, and they're willing to go through the tough part because they already believe in the mission. Of course, we want to end with asking questions, getting their feedback and input. Now, this will work best if some or all were a part of the planning process to begin with, that we're not just throwing something new on them that they haven't heard. If we have large teams, we can use representatives, etc. But the more people we have in the process, there's a lot of reasons that it's important to have people involved in the process so that they can buy in, and then they can get their associates and coworkers bought in. All right. Once we do that, leadership is about communication. Tell Me More is all about communication. We're going to continuously keep that communication going. We're going to tell them more, and we're going to ask for their feedback along the way. So we're not just going to rely on, hey, we had a meeting last week for 30 minutes. I went over this. Everybody's bought in. And now we don't keep championing the cause. Another big mistake that leaders make is not championing the cause. Once we have a decision, once we have a direction, once we've got buy-in, we're cheerleaders for that initiative, ongoing, over and over and over. We have to learn to communicate repetitively to get people fired up. If you're on a sports team, your coach will usually have a theme for a game or a season, and they will say that over and over. And the more they say it, the more everybody rallies around it. And the team gets fired up, and they know what their mission is. They know why they're doing what they're doing. So we have to keep that communication going. It needs to be a part of what we talk about on our weekly meetings, on our monthly meetings, however your meeting schedule is. Communicate over and over and over so we keep the buy-in going, and keep the excitement, the enthusiasm, share wins. We got to keep people believing that this is working, it's going to work, we're going to overcome, and this is going to be good for everybody. And then we leverage influencers. Always, always, always leverage influencers. Another critical part of being a great leader. See, as leaders, the person with the most influence is the leader. So if I have somebody with a strong influence over the rest of my organization, that's perfectly fine. They may feel, and others may feel, that they have more influence than me. That's perfectly fine as well. I'm not here to get praise. I'm here to get results. Okay. So what do I need to do? Get rid of this person? Oh my God, they're making me look bad. Everybody loves them. They're a great speaker. They're, really smart. They're whatever. Good for you, man. They're on your team. So stop fighting with the people on your team. Influence that person. So make sure you've got them on your side, that you're working hard to influence them, because now it's easy. All you got to do is influence a few people and they influence everybody else. Okay. Make sure we're leveraging influencers, and then meet with people one-on-one. Have a personal ask. Hey, how do you feel about this? What are you thinking? Why do you think this is going to work? What obstacles do you think we're going to run into? How do you think we can overcome? Do you think we can make this better? Look, the more you ask them about yourself. I ask my team, how was that? Did that come across well? Do you think everybody got it? Did they understand? What's your feelings after the meeting? Look, make a safe place. Safety creates people that can relax and focus on the job at hand and give all their energy to something. Danger says fight or flight. Okay. And that's where we get the wrong hormones pumping. That's where we're not focused on what we're doing. We're working out of fear. Fear is the opposite of faith. Fear is the opposite of belief. This whole talk is about creating a space where people believe, get fired up, and use that passion to help drive your organization forward. Make believers out of your people. Tell them more about yourself. Ask the data to tell you more, and ask the people to tell you more about what they're thinking and what they want. Okay? And if we do that, we will drive belief that'll drive passion, release energy to more activity, better results, and then increase that belief, and you'll be on your way to success. Hey, thanks for dropping in today. Hope this was something that you can use and put in place in your business. It is something that you can use and put in your place in your business. So go out there and start with belief, make believers of your people, and start with the emotion, back up with the data. Have a great week.